Hey, what's up, everyone? Escaping the 12-hour personal trainer or gym owner trap. In this quick video, I wanted to talk about exactly that. Basically, on a weekly basis, I have conversations with lots of different gym owners, lots of people in different stages of, either starting their fitness business or growing it, or they're at a point of profit and they're just looking to scale big time. And one of the things that I noticed that's a little bit different, between the owners who are profitable, who are not working 12-hour days, and basically, they're working on the business instead of in it. The main thing that I see, especially in the fitness industry, usually when you guys get started, when people get started, they start off as trainers, either working somewhere else and getting paid for being a trainer at a facility, and then from there, they decide to go off on their own. They have the experience, they have the knowledge, they can basically, do everything that the other companies are paying them a lot less to do. But, one of those things that nobody ever talks about in your ACE certification, the NASM certification, depending on, what certification you got, is, running a business, especially in the fitness industry, is a lot different than, being a trainer. And most people just kind of go with what they know, which is, hey, well, I just need to get more clients, and I want to be, I want to be a trainer, and I want to be busy, make six figures, do around $8,000 a month. But what happens pretty quickly is, they start bringing on clients, and then they start realizing, oh, well, now I got, all these other things to worry about, including, maybe the accounting, how am I going to generate business, how am I going to get leads, the sales process, and then before you know it, you're at, working from 6 a.m. to 6 or 7 p.m. every day, 6 days a week. And then you kind of, I noticed that, people kind of just stop enjoying what they're doing as much because they're working in the business and not on it. And they think, if I want to make more money, then I got to work more hours. But the problem I see is when people in the fitness industry, trainers who own, businesses, they trade time for hours. And in the beginning, when you're first getting started, you can basically kind of do that. You're going to be doing a little bit of everything. It's going to be a little bit more scrappy, a little bit more hands-on. Just, you're getting your feet wet, you're setting everything up. But then what happens is eventually you max out your schedule, and then you literally have no time aside from in the morning to eat, train, and then, from like 1 to 3 or 4, it's the, 4 hours of dead time. And then you're basically training again all day, every day, 6 days a week. And then, I talk to them and they're like, hey, I want to scale, but they don't have time to do anything. And what I find is that it's not that people don't have time, it's that the priorities and the way that they've set up systems in the business doesn't facilitate so that, you can be more hands off. So anyway, how to escape that, 12-hour a day trap, how to eventually, get to a point where you're working on the business and you are, a business owner first and a trainer second. And that's ultimately the transition. You have to start seeing yourself as not just a trainer, but a business owner, and a business owner that wants to be highly successful. To a point, they're not going to be doing the work in the business, right? You got to start thinking about, what's the $1,000 per hour work. And sure, if you're, charging $60 a session, you got memberships, you're charging $139 a month, and you're also doing the training. Well, what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to scale because, the $1,000 hour per thing would be, how do I set up my processes so that if I do leave and I decide to take a day off and I hire people to run the facility, they basically have a blueprint on how to run it, how to be successful. And it sounds easy in theory, but it's just one thing to think about. So then you get to a point where, okay, well, what's the $1,000 per hour thing? Well, if you spent 10 hours a day in theory, or 8 hours a day, figuring out how to become more efficient at the marketing, how to get more leads, how to convert those leads to appointments, how to get those people to show up. And then from there, obviously, how to sign people up in a more predictable way that just facilitates the process from understanding their current situation in fitness and taking them to their desired situation in fitness, and doing it with more predictability. So like, let's say you spend $1,000, and then that $1,000 you spend on advertising, you get, a 2 to 5x return on investment. Well, once you set it up, spending an hour on marketing and making sure the systems are good, and putting all those systems in place, and just making sure that, hey, if I make sure I put these campaigns together, I can get XYZ leads with predictability. This is the process. This is how we do it. Well, now you've made, you may spend 1,000, you make 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Now you've made your time a lot more efficient, and you can bring on more clients, you can bring on more volume, because then you still, you start having trainers in place to train for you. You start having front desk staff or a salesperson to basically, follow up and schedule these leads and sign them up. And basically you want to think of it as a cycle or a process, right? Step A, we generate leads at a high level, we bring potential clients in the door, we sign them up, and then once we sign them up, after that, they get put into XYZ program. We make sure that in that program, and we make sure that we facilitate the process so that people get results as efficiently as possible with predictability. You make sure your clients are getting results. They get results, then you get referrals from those people. And then, on the back end, you have your accounting taken care of. Your numbers like the back of your hand in terms of business. And then you have, your sales guy in place. You have your trainers in place who know how to operate the system. And then, what's expected of them, down to how the facility looks, down to, everything, you name it. Think about businesses that are highly successful like McDonald's, and it's counter opposite. I don't think they promote fitness in any way, but basically you give somebody a manual, and you can take a stranger off the street with this manual, and they can learn how to operate all of your systems, all of your business, by looking at basically a blueprint or a piece of paper and just following that process. And that's essentially what fitness franchises do, is they systemize their business in such a way, from the marketing to the way that people get results, to how the facility looks, to how you greet people, how you do everything. You put these people, you license it out, you get franchisees, and then they pick up the manual, and as long as they do the work and show up, boom, then they get that same return, or they get that same result as if, the original founder was operating the business the same way. And that's ultimately what you want to start thinking as yourself, is more of a business owner, and start thinking, once you have a good understanding and a good foundation of where your business is and how things operate, take out a piece of paper and break down everything you do into departments, and then look at, what's the $10 per hour work, the $30 per hour work that I'm doing, whether it be training, following up with emails, scheduling people in, et cetera, and what's the things that I should be focusing on, in best case scenario, when I had all these things outsourced or systemized, that's going to make me the most return on investment for my time. A lot of people think, well, what about the money? They're always looking at, hey, well, I'm hesitant to spend because my money this, and this. But what people don't always protect is their time, which is something that you can't get back. I mean, money you can make more of, but time you can't get back. So you want to start thinking more efficiently in that context. But anyway, just think, what's the best use of your time? How can I chunk it out? And then how can I hire where it hurts? So what are the things that are crippling my time freedom that I have right now, and what's something that I could write like a protocol to, almost like a scientific protocol of operations, and just give this to somebody else, and they can operate it as if they were me. And it's really not that hard, because once you actually write it down and you have it on paper, you start thinking, okay, well, it's pretty straightforward how I do it. Now I just have to, write it out in a way that somebody reads it, listens to it, looks at it, and they basically also understand what needs to be done. And then you have a way to hold people accountable. Are you following the process that I laid out for you? Yes or no, right? So that's one of the benefits of having something like that. In the beginning, you're going to do more work, and then eventually you want to hire it out piece by piece. So let's say you get started doing training, and you find that most of your day is consumed with training clients. Then you hire another trainer. Well, then, now from there, you're like, okay, well, I got a trainer to free up some of my time. What's the next best thing that I can do? Well, let's pick up a lead generation system, or let's figure out this marketing to get leads in a consistent way. Let's figure out our sales process, and then you do the marketing and the sales, and then you get that done. You hire that part out. Maybe you hire a sales guy, and you just manage the marketing for a little bit, and then eventually you grow that component, and then boom, you see how this continues to grow over time. And you just have to be, you just have to think long term and think, what am I going to need in the future to make this process as smooth and effortless as possible for my members, so my clients to get their results, and for me as well, so that I'm working on the business and not in it. But anyway, if you're interested in learning more about how to, really set up this lead generation process, how to attract clients with more predictability, I basically put together a 6-week training program. And in this training program, I walk you through exactly just that, step A to Z, how to identify your ideal client, how to create offers that they want, how to set up your marketing, how to automate the systems, look at the sales, And you know, I basically already figured it out from my experience doing it. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out and we can have a conversation. Aside from that, talk to you soon. Thanks for checking this video out, guys.